Hey everybody, welcome back to Hayes Review. I am joined here today with my sister and my friend Taylor, and we are going to be reviewing The Last of Us, Season 1. It just ended, so we're going to start with Episode 1 here. The Last of Us is based on a video game, came out in 2013, I believe, and they turned it into this show.
Yeah, so Sarah goes to their neighbor's house to make cookies with this elderly couple, and the lady in the wheelchair, the old lady, she starts kind of being twitchy, making weird croaking noises. Mm-hmm. And then Sarah, feeling uncomfortable, doesn't want to stay, doesn't eat the cookies, and so she leaves. Mm-hmm. Sarah falls asleep, and then Joel has to leave to go bail Tommy out of jail. He got in a bar fight or something. Yeah. And so Sarah goes to bed upstairs, wakes up, Joel is not home.
Mm-hmm. So she's like wandering around the house, and then hears like huge explosions and like police sirens, like every type of siren there is basically. And then she sees the neighbor's dog come up to her. I think the neighbor's dog like scares her somehow, and so she follows him to the neighbor's house.
So she goes in there and she's, I think, calling out the name of the neighbor and goes into the kitchen. The husband, I guess, is on the floor, like, bleeding. Yeah, it's a pretty bad situation. She flips out, runs out of the house, and then Joel and his brother show up and grab Sarah, and they drive off, and they, I think, hit people as they drive away.
Another thing to mention about the old lady is that she has these weird, almost tentacle-looking things coming out of her mouth as she, like, gets up from biting, I'm assuming. Joel and Tommy get her. So the old lady is chasing her. First off, this lady could not walk starting out. She was in a wheelchair, and now she's on a full-on sprint after Sarah. And so Joel has to do what he has to do, and he kills her. And then he shoves Sarah into the truck, and they go off trying to figure out a way out of the city, I guess.
They're in Austin.
They're in Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And so they're going past all of this wreckage and this burning house, and they get into more of like where all the shops are, mm-hmm. right? And then they're driving, and they see a bunch of people running towards them, and then all of a sudden there's this plane, and it literally crashes like maybe a couple miles from them, and then like some of the wreckage shoots back and hits their truck, and then they get in an accident. And whenever they come to, Sarah's leg is seriously injured, and people are just going insane in the streets and jumping all over each other and just going like crazy. So then Joel is having to carry Sarah, and then it's Tommy, Joel, and Sarah, and they're all running trying to figure out a way out of the town. And then a truck pulls up, and then Tommy and Sarah and Joel are separated. So then Joel and Sarah have to find their own way to meet up with Tommy. I think he says, like, meet me at the river or something like that. So then they're running through the city, and he's still carrying her, and then they see this one infected, and, like, sprinting, like, full-on sprinting after them, and Joel is carrying Sarah, and he, right when the infected is about to catch up with him, a soldier shoots the infected and, like, prevents them from, you know, getting killed, getting bitten, whatever. And then he's holding Sarah, and he's like, we're not infected. And the soldier gets a call from his, like, higher command or whatever, and he's like, nah, kill them all. And so he ends up shooting his gun, and then him and Sarah go tumbling down a hill, and it turns out that Sarah has been shot in the stomach area. And so Tommy shows up, kills that soldier, and then Sarah ultimately dies because there's no way you can recover from that, you know? Which is super, super sad for Joel. And then there's a time jump 20 years later.
So there's like this quarantine zone called the QZ, and you see the giant gates, and there's this tiny little kid, maybe like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, walking in, very disheveled, whatever. The guards let him in, and they go to see if he's infected, and the little kid is. And so they kind of prompt him, saying, like, it's going to be okay, we're going to take care of you.
Like, we're going to give you some medicine.
Mm-hmm. Make you feel better. And then you cut to Joel putting the bodies in the giant fire pit, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you see when he's putting bodies out, there's the little kid's shoes in there, and so it's implied that the kid was killed. So Joel doesn't look very happy, whatever. Him and his, whatever she is, Tess, girlfriend, something, lover, I don't know.
Companion.
Yeah, they're kind of just surviving,
We're unsure how long they've been apart, but Joel and Tommy have been apart for some time, and they communicate by radio. And he said, he hasn't answered for 3 weeks. That's the whole thing, and so that's why him and Tess want a car to go see if he's okay. And so they're trying to find a car and also a battery. So then that's why Tess is getting beat up, is because, it's weird because the guy, Robert, he double-crossed her, but then she's the one getting beat up. It's super weird. And then there's an explosion from the Fireflies. Oh, also, the Fireflies are this rebel group that is standing up to Fedra. It's basically this huge military operation, and they're the ones that set up the QZ, and they're just in charge of everything. And then the rebels are the Fireflies that are trying to deconstruct everything they've done, all the bad stuff they've done. We don't really know their purpose. They don't like Fedra. Anyway, so yeah, the Fireflies blow up the building that she's in, and then she goes back to Joel, and she tells him everything about how this guy stole her battery and they need to go get it back. So then they go try to confront Robert about it, and they come to a complete bloodbath. And all of these people that were in Robert's group are dead, and it turns out that Marlene is there, and she is the leader of the Fireflies, and she's accompanied by someone else. And this, also, a little before this is when we're introduced to Ellie. She's chained up, and they're asking her all these questions and interviewing her, and these Fireflies are. And she is herself not a Firefly. She's Fedra, but then
in training.
In training. So she's chained up, and they're asking her all these weird questions and, making sure she's coherent or something. And we're not sure why. But then Marlene is saying that they need to deliver her to another Firefly headquarters for them to take care of her. And she still doesn't really know, what's going on. And so that's when Joel and Tess meet Ellie. And Marlene has been shot, and the other girl isn't doing too hot. So then Marlene is like, I'll give you anything that you want. I'll give you guns. I'll give you food. I'll give you whatever you want. Just go take this girl where she needs to go. Because they can't do it because they're so disheveled and they're shot. Can't get the job done themselves. And, Tess and Joel are smugglers. So this is what they do, but they've never had human cargo before.
Leaving the quarantine zone or the city, wherever they're at, one of the Fedra soldiers stops them, and Joel beats. So he's first of all trying to see if they're all infected, and we find out now that Ellie's been infected, but she's immune to it or something. She hasn't turned. And so as he's going around seeing if they're infected, Ellie freaks out and goes to stab him with her tiny little knife. And that's when Joel has to intervene and beat this guy senseless. He pretty much kills him with his knuckles. And Ellie's watching. In comparison, whenever Joel had to kill the neighbor that was about to attack Sarah, Sarah's watching her dad kill this person, and she's shocked and almost disgusted, So that's kind of cool seeing those two parallels.
Yeah, Joel had some major PTSD, and I think he just felt like someone was trying to kill his daughter again when the soldier put the light in his face
for sure,
and was yelling at them. So
yeah,
I think that's why he reacted that way.
Oh, and also whenever they find out that, Joel and Tess find out that Ellie's infected, she shows them her bite was 3 weeks old or something.
But the episode ends with them leaving, going into the city, and then the radio that Joel was listening to hear Tommy was playing an 80s song, which is a signal for bad things ahead.
Yeah.
Which pretty much sets up the whole season.
I hope you enjoyed our recap. So I will be diving into my favorite scene, my least favorite scene, and one thing I would change about episode 1. So here we go. My favorite scene from episode 1 is when Sarah finds the old lady, Mrs. Adler, hunched over, munching on her kids. Because then it shows just how bad the future is going to get for the world. The tendrils coming out of her mouth and everything about it was just perfect, in my opinion. And it shows how scary the world is about to become, and they don't know what they're in for. Yeah, so that is my favorite scene. Okay, now I'm going to get into my least favorite scene. So my least favorite scene, I do view it as an important scene to the show, but emotionally it kind of hurt me a little bit. It's whenever Joel, Ellie, and Tess are all escaping the QZ, going to take Ellie to meet the Fireflies. And it's the scene where the soldier confronts them and Joel beats his face in. It just was kind of traumatizing for us, the audience, and also him, Joel, for having to relive his daughter's death. Him just having flashbacks, I'm assuming, and emotionally it was a bad scene, but it was important for the rest of the plot. So, yeah. Let me know what you think. One thing I would like to change, so in the game, there's this man named Robert, and I think they refer to him in the show as well, but in the game, he's a much bigger character that steals their battery from them, beats Tess up, and Joel and Tess try to go get the battery back from him. But in the game, there's this whole, whole level, I guess you could say, where they're tearing through all of Robert's men trying to get to him, and it shows how Joel and Tess really click and work as a team together to get what they want, which I thought was cool if it would have been introduced in the show as well, which they did work together, but it wasn't as intricate as the game was. So yeah, that is my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know about your favorite scene, your least favorite scene, or one thing you would change. Bye. Hey everybody, welcome to Hayes Review. I bet you're wondering what this is here. I will explain. So I will be ranking my favorite characters from 1 to 5 in episode 1. So let's get into it. Okay, so I will be going in descending order, so I will be starting with number 5 here. So here we go. At number 5, we have Marlene. In retrospect, Marlene is a good person. She helps Ellie, escape from Fedra finding out about her immunity. She gives her food, but she does chain her up. But she's not that big of a character. She just kind of helps Ellie in the way of getting to the Fireflies. But she also causes some problems with Joel and Tess, getting in the way of getting their battery to go visit Tommy. So she's all right. She's an all right character. She's slightly annoying, but, it is what it is. So number 5. Number 4, we have Miss Ellie. So Ellie in this episode is kind of irritating, but it's not like I can't tolerate it. It's just that she's an annoying 14-year-old, like most 14-year-olds are annoying. She's an interesting character, and we learn more about her past, and how she is in fact immune, or doesn't take to the cordyceps like everyone else. So yeah, she is number 4. Number 3, we have Miss Tess. So she is, I gotta say, one of my, I don't know if I would say she's in the top 10 characters for me. I really, really like her. In this episode, I like her and Joel's relationship, and I like how protective she is over him, and how she, warms up to Ellie faster than Joel does. I think it's really cute. So yeah, Tess, number 3. Number 2, we have Tommy. So Tommy is number 2 here. And in my opinion, he is one of the heroes of this episode. He is a great brother and a great uncle. So in the first episode, whenever it's Sarah, Joel, and Tommy uses his truck to get them out of their neighborhood. And he also uses his rifle to protect Joel and Sarah. While he does not end up saving Sarah, he does end up saving Joel from the soldier, which I think is really, really, brave and, what a good brother does in that situation. So he's number 2. He is the good brother. So now we are into number 1. So number 1, we have Joel. Who would have guessed it? So Joel is my favorite in this episode because he's just such a likable character and very relatable and, takes nothing from nobody. And I think everyone likes that in a person. And he does a really good job with Ellie getting her to where she needs to be and then protecting her from that soldier, even though it was probably very traumatizing for him to relive his daughter's death with Ellie, almost being caught by that soldier who was checking to see if she was infected. So he went through a lot this episode, and he is just a solid character. Being the main character, sometimes they aren't solid, but I gotta say, Joel is pretty solid. So yeah, that is my tier list for episode 1. Thanks, bye.